teeth as white as snow. What a gas it was to see her walk around that day and create a shady place. With her lips she said, April, 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 let's have fun. Gigantic, 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 a big Irma. Welcome to Duderonomy, I'm Dan.
And I'm Bryan.
And this is Season 3, Episode 3, Attack of the 50-Foot Irma.
Originally aired September 27th, 1989, and directed by Bill Wolf, bringing on a new writer to the staff, Roby Gorin. Let's see what they got.
Yeah.
Dan, did you really have to go that far?
Yes, I did.
Did you really have to commit that much?
I mean, how often do you get to tie pixies to the Ninja Turtles? I had to go for it.
I have a feeling that is something that the original creators would be a big fan of. And anybody else who's anywhere 10 years younger than us and beyond have no idea what the fuck you're doing.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, like, basically every reference I make, no one knows what the fuck I'm doing, so.
Remember, this is a room filled with 15 whole millennials. All right, let's jump into the episode. We open on the Ninja Turtles sleeping in their adorable little bunk beds, and Mikey is hanging decorations. He's got ribbons going all over the place, and one of them drips down, catches Donatello on the nose, makes him sneeze, and the bed collapses. And how the hell is sneezing the through line in the show this episode?
Not the first thing that stood out to me about this scene, though, Bryan.
Which was?
Well, what is Mikey setting up for?
Oh, Mikey's hanging decorations for a party.
For who?
For Irma.
Where?
In the sewer.
More specifically, where?
In their bedroom.
In their bedroom. Mikey knows what she wants.
Yoo-hoo!
Irma, what are you doing in the sewers?
Well,
I'm thirsty.
This had to be, they had to do this on purpose. This had to be a purposeful joke.
You think so? I think it was more of a lazy joke that didn't want to draw two backgrounds and have everybody in the same room.
They could have just done it in the lair, like the main, like where the TV is.
But then why would they be sleeping?
It's such a contrived opening, but like, why are you throwing the party in your bedroom, Mikey?
He's throwing the party across the entire lair. The bedroom is not off limits. But Donatello sneezes, collapses the entire bed, and they all think, we're being attacked. It must be Shredder. Come out, Shredhead. And just the idea that the Ninja Turtles are so paranoid that the Shredder, a ninja mafia boss and mad scientist who's collaborated with an interdimensional warlord and made two significant, albeit failed attempts to rule/destroy the planet, is also on brand, hiding in bushes and boogeymanning them from under their beds.
Well, this is the second time Mikey gets confused for Shredder.
And that's referring to the last time when Shredder was, in fact, just hiding in the bushes with a pair of binoculars.
Yep.
So Mikey's decorating the lair to throw this party for Irma. Did not realize that they got so close so quickly. Last time I checked, they've only had one recorded instance where they've actually, been in the same room dialoguing.
Hey, they don't get a lot of friends in the sewer.
They would be excited just to have company. But the punchline, however, is that Mikey forgot to invite the most important person to the party, Irma herself.
Yep. Good job, Mikey.
Don't worry, though. April's got his back. Everyone's going to be at the party. They're talking on the Turtle Comms, and they're discussing all the details, including the menu, which Michelangelo discloses is pizza puffs, pizza dip, and pizza pudding. And I know what the real joke is here, but pudding and dip on the same menu is a redundant mouthfeel. Let's mix it up. Let's get some crunchy, maybe pizza granola.
Yeah, we got to check out that menu again.
Anybody listening, post your favorite Ninja Turtles party theme menu. I want to hear what you'd throw at a 5-year-old's Ninja Turtle themed birthday party.
Ah, that's a good one. I had a Ninja Turtle birthday. I'm sure you did too.
For your daughter or for yourself?
For myself when I was a kid.
Or for yourself last year?
That's next year.
All right, so April is busy right now. She's covering a story at the planetarium about a meteorite that crashed down nearby. And my note here says 1980s phone sign-offs, a study. See you tonight. Ciao.
There's a couple sign-offs that are Italian in nature in this episode.
Oh, yeah, you're kind of right. Like the chow, though, that was like such a cliche thing for like hipsters in the 80s.
We can dance. Dun, 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 dun.
April begins her interview with Professor Von Ziflin, voiced by Pat Fraley. And my God, what range on this guy. I would not have guessed that was Fraley, did you?
No, not at all.
For the guy who's like spent his entire time just kind of squealing and gurgling in multiple different versions of characters. Yeah, there's impressively down-to-earth scientist voice he can do.
You have me thinking that, like, what if Pat Fraley's real voice was just Krang all the time? Every other character he does is, like, pure character acting, like, the truest sense of acting, but he normally just sounds like,
Pears would have disowned him at a young age.
Mother!
Wait, go ahead and sing the rest of the Danzig.
That's not what I was doing.
Do it. Fucking do it, you coward.
I already sang once this episode. I can't do it again.
Do it again. Do it again.
I can't. I cannot do that voice.
God damn it. All right, so Von Ziflin's going over with April about how there's a rare isotope inside this meteorite shard, and the whole thing is split in two upon the entry back into Earth's atmosphere. And the Ninja Turtles are watching this on TV with great interest. And, hey, Dan.
Yes?
Can you guess who else has great interest in this?
Is it, let me see, Shredder?
No, it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Of course it's the fucking Shredder. And he gasses the laboratory and the news crew with a smoke bomb that comes in an aerosol can for some reason.
Yep.
Why not? And like a smoke grenade? And he's used them in the past.
I think he uses one in this episode.
But he just decides to hairspray the room first. Turtles notice that someone is stealing the isotope and they beat feet, and Splinter's like, stop, strategy time. All right.
Okay, a couple of things here. I got to admit, I'm pretty happy that they're getting the pretenses out of the way, and they're just like, Shredder's going to steal something. We're not going to bother you with the planning session. He's just going to take it.
By this many episodes in, they should be at least a little bit self-aware, considering they haven't had an arch rivalry in any other way, shape, or form.
He's just a petty crook.
He's a warlord who is not above being a petty crook. He is Rasputin, who will kill an entire village, but also steal candy from a baby. That's Shredder in a nutshell.
True.
We cut to the Technodrome. Shredder's returned with half the isotope via the drill module, and apparently the door broke. I don't know why they did that, because that joke does not pay off again later on. The door just, like, breaks off the thing.
Oh, I thought of another thing I wanted to mention about the television spot.
Which is?
Shredder's face has appeared on Channel 6 now. I wonder if, like, the general public is going to be aware of him, because he's on TV.
I mean, like, 10% of his face has appeared on Channel 6.
Well, I mean, his general motif.
I mean, the guy would be smart to just not wear the mask for a day. He could probably get away with literal murder. Here we learn another one of the bullshit Ninja Turtle science terms. Apparently, the isotope is made of exoboron, and it goes without saying, not a real thing. Boron itself is, of course, an actual isotope, but exoboron isn't like a proper noun. Exo is just a prefix that means outside of.
Yep.
Although there are some interesting advancements being made in the chemical science right now in regards to decahydroclosodecarbonate anions and the exoboron oxygen bonding that marks the second time that Ninja Turtles 87 has made me read a science publication.
Yeah, gotta get that outside boron.
I am learning more about chemistry by revisiting this cartoon from my childhood than I did through all of college.
I never took a chemistry class in college, so that's an easy bar to clear.
All right, so Krang zaps the isotope with lightning because science, and then back at Channel 6, Vernon's priorities are straight, so they're trying to recoup the interview that the Shredder ruined at the planetarium. And then Vernon shames Irma for wanting to get a snack from the coffee shop. And then more surprisingly, April shames Irma for wanting to get a snack from the coffee shop because she's on one of those lousy-ass fad diets. These are awful people, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a weird thing to build the episode around. Like, the whole reason that Irma leaves is because she's hungry and no one will let her eat in the office. Like, what? Even like you said, like April chases after her out of the building. Like, no, Irma, your diet.
Yeah, they act like she's skipping medication. And I feel like that's another one of those product of the times things.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
I remember when I was younger, like my grandmother tried every fad diet under the book, right? Like Atkins and Zone diet. And nowadays we've got raw diets and carnivore diets and paleo and all this other bullshit. None of it's written in stone. So like it was all just whatever came on the tabloids at the supermarket that week, which tracks for Irma's characterization so far.
Yeah, that's fair.
But really, like, these are bad friends. They're being so mean.
Yeah, it's not a great look. You kind of expect it for Vernon, but April, you should know better.
Oh, and let's just throw another bullying stereotype at her for good measure. Let's just forget about food for a second. There's nothing in her character that's established that Irma is food obsessed or anything so far.
Yeah, no, she is very obsessed about something completely different.
Yeah, and instead of dick, she just wants, you know, chips. Also, can we just recognize, too, that Irma's on a diet and the Ninja Turtles are planning to throw her a pizza party?
Well, I mean, what else are they going to do? They don't make any other food.
Just, you know, I don't know who's the worst friend in this. The enabler or the denier.
Irma's fine. It's definitely April.
All right, let's cut back to the Technodrome. Still at the center of the Earth, mind you. Krang turns the isotope into powder and then puts it into a reverse gravity capsule.
Yeah, it's a mechanical egg.
Okay, I'm sorry, but Krang just holds this capsule thing above the dust and it just sucks it up like a vacuum.
Yep.
From like 3 feet above, though. Just like it just leaps through the air. Swoop.
It's got that advanced Dimension X technology.
What the? That's not even techno. What the fuck could do that?
Don't leave home without your egg vacuum.
Anyways, he puts the dust capsule into a big honking gun so he can shoot someone with it to make them 6 times larger. Remember this. There's important math later.
I gotta tell you, I love this part about older cartoons. This isn't a Turtles thing. This is just like a everything prior to the 2000s. Maybe I probably still too, but like just a thing I fondly remember from being a kid is that like nobody makes things. They just had this death laser sitting around. And it's not even a death laser. It's supposed to, you know, as we will see, it's supposed to make people giant, but like Krang just had this. He wasn't working on it.
He just had it, but he didn't have Ed 209 last episode, so
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, like, hell, it's funny that he just had this thing that he didn't have the major ingredient for. Like, you know, if I ever come into exoboron, I'll have this enlarging ray ready to go. But he's just like building machines that he didn't have the ammo for. I mean, just think about how absurd it would be to build something that required you to wait for the chance encounter of a meteorite.
I mean, bring that to the creators of Pokemon.
It's true. A couple evolutions don't happen without those stones.
All right, so we're all on the same page here, right? We're all just going to assume that Krang's going to make himself giant, right?
But
Giant brain.
he doesn't need
takes
to.
New York City.
His body already does it.
No, it doesn't anymore. Donatello destroyed that.
Yeah, but I mean, you can build another crystal.
No, Krang can't. Can you build a crystal? How do you build a crystal, Dan?
I don't know. How do you build any of the shit in this show?
You just reach the portal to Dimension X and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, with mechanical vacuum eggs.
All right. We do assume that Krang's gonna make himself big, but Krang throws an audible on us and he turns and he says, "No, we're gonna make you giant, Shredder." And then Shredder says what we're all thinking. Why? I thought you hated me.
That's a great line.
It really was. That's the most self-aware. This show has completely like come full circle with self-awareness.
It's such a good exchange. I thought you hated me.
I
It could always malfunction.
I'll take my chances. 5 minutes in, Shredder's reaction is great too, where he's just wide-eyed, kind of like blinking at him.
Appropriate. That's exactly how I reacted to this entire dialogue. Anyways, they're both on board. Let's do this thing. Let's make Shredder a, quote, tower of power. Krang says,
We'll do a dry run first.
That's what she said.
Krang fires the beam, and Shredder goes through some serious body horror shit. His hands get big, then his feet get big, and finally his head. He goes through every single cheat code in GoldenEye in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, the mutation process is horrifying.
Yeah,
as we will see later in the episode.
It's really a little bit traumatizing, and it might be why I do not like body horror movies to this day. This does, however, feel exactly like it would play out in a video game with like a Super Shredder transformation.
So the first thing I thought of when just his hands got big was the mutated Shredders from the comics.
Oh, like crab arm Shredder and forearm Shredder.
Yeah, exactly.
Little Tyke Shredder.
Little Tyke Shredder. Oh my God, give me more Little Tyke Shredder.
Oh man, if they ever do City at War again with Mutant Mayhem, God, I want to see Lobster Shredder. The failed clone Shredders are some of my favorite like throwaways in comic book history.
There's something about them that could so easily be comedic.
But they're also terrifying. They're also super threatening.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're horrifying. They're animal hybrids of this guy, but still, like,
they're animal hybrids of a Japanese ninja warlord that have been constructed by hive minding a bunch of mealworms.
You heard that? That's the actual thing, folks.
So anyways, honey, I blew up the shredder. The test is a success. Next scene, we're topside following April and Irma walking down the sidewalk. Irma wants a cookie.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Canonical height of the Technodrome is less than 36 feet tall.
It is?
So he says the ray is going to make Shredder 6 times his normal size. If you assume that Shredder is 6 feet tall,
Shredder's canonical height is 6'1".
He hits the ceiling, so it's less than 36 feet tall in that room.
But he's sitting down.
But not. I mean, he gets like elevated into the ceiling.
But he ends up on his ass, literally.
Well, he lands up. But
you're inadvertently fueling my argument because
shorter.
the measurements are inconsistent at best in this.
Well, because I mean, the whole title is the 50-foot woman, and it takes a while for Irma to get there.
Yeah, and does she ever? We'll find out. In the next scene, we are topside, following April and Irma walking down the sidewalk. Irma wants a cookie. April is denying. Seriously, what a crap friend. I would totally help you cheat on a diet, Dan. Honestly, this seems kind of cruel by today's standards. Like, this is another one of those that did not age well because I don't think, dietary restrictions and stuff like that. It's not as commonplace conversation around the water cooler as it once was.
Well, I mean, like, the whole thing is just awkward like that, but also just, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's bad. Let's just leave it at it's bad. Like, there's never been a thing for Irma's character prior to this that she was, like, concerned about her weight for some reason.
Not at all. Like, her character's not drawn to be overweight or anything like that, so it just seems, like, unnecessarily bullyish.
Yeah, and this whole episode, that's, like, pretty much all it is Irma getting bullied.
In all fairness, Irma is a little unsettling with her food obsession, which, again, has come out of nowhere. Not present in her characterization in any previous episodes, but when she sees a billboard featuring her favorite ice cream, she goes full Hannibal Lecter and is like, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it is.
She also Batman bamfs away when April is like getting up on her high horse and being a shitty friend. So Irma is officially a better ninja than the Turtles.
Irma is the hero the city deserves.
April thinks she hears Irma's stomach growling, which leads her down an alleyway. No, it's just Shredder's drill module coming up through the ground, and it's really amazing to me how there are no other citizens in the entire city of New York for Shredder to bump into in 1989.
Oh my God, right?
The April is consistently in the right place, right time. 2 times in under a minute, mind you, because she gets cut off by Shredder's drill and then backs up into another drill.
I mean, this is ridiculous, but I will say I've had many instances in New York City where I keep running into people.
Really?
It is a big city, but a small town.
How do you mean?
I mean, like, okay, so this is, like, really specific, and it makes sense because it's an actual, like, employment industry, but, like, I worked in the theater industry in New York City for 13 years before I moved to Rochester, and for all the people who are in that city and all the people who are like, I've got to go to New York. If I make it in New York, I'll make it anywhere. I consistently worked with the same people all the time as a freelancer. Like it didn't have to be those same people over and over again, but like we all just kept getting hired to every theater in New York.
I mean, that's an isolated incident, though. That's not like bumping into somebody on the street.
Well, I mean, that would happen too, but It's because you're just
outside of the building you're mutually employed by.
Well, it wasn't always people who I was working with, but yes, when you find yourself in the same places frequently, you will bump into the same kind of people. That is true.
All right, fine. I'm just saying that the Shredder should not be able to get away with so many major Earth's crust breakthroughs in broad daylight in a popular city.
Listen,
there's no one ever on the city, and there's no one on the street.
Listen, Manhattan is an island, and he's drilling so many fucking holes in this island that it'll sink to the bottom of the ocean. They'll have an easier time getting Manhattan down to them than they would getting the Technodrome back up to surface.
I mean, you'd think there'd be a bigger national security concern with the Shredder being able to, like, poke holes through the foundation of virtually every building ever in the entire world.
Yeah.
April gets caught up on top of this drill that's popping up with the exoboron laser. So she calls...
Manhattan's built on, like, sand, right?
It's an island, yes. That's how that works.
No, I mean, there are islands that are, like, not... I mean, most of Manhattan is, like, man-made.
That's also true. Yes, I see what you're getting at.
Continue.
All I'm saying... Okay. In her escape, April is caught on top of another drill that Shredder's brought up. It's got the exoboron laser, and she calls on the Turtles to the rescue.
Yeah, Shredder had to go to the surface because Krang needed more space to make my monster grow.
Oh, we are really coming full circle after circle after circle. Okay, so we're talking about Shredder's puncturing of the surface of the Earth. If the Technodrome is at the Earth's core, that makes them technically adjacent and privy to every inch of surface area on the planet. Why do they keep knocking the door of the dudes who beat the shit out of them twice?
Right, they could go anywhere.
They could literally go anywhere. He could start his own island in the middle of the ocean with, like, bring up some of that lava through the tube. He's good at that. He could just operate remotely in international seas, have zero concerns whatsoever.
That's true. They could do all of these plans from the middle of the ocean.
So April's in trouble, Shredder's on the surface, and the Turtles speed off on their cheapskates. Is this another avoidance of the van? Man, I'm going to keep hitting on this. Why do they use the van so little?
I don't know. Maybe they already sold that toy. They needed to sell new ones.
Yeah, that's actually the best argument you could probably come up with. Back up on the street. Irma has re-entered the scene from the ice cream shop that she snuck off to. Surprise, it's Shredder. Surprise, it's Turtles. That's it. Everybody just shows up.
Everybody shows up except literally anybody else in the city.
I like the part that comes up next when Krang is just getting ready to
Begin laser ignition!
and then April gets gripped onto Shredder's laser drill. That's what she said. So it misfires and hits Irma. And what now, Turtle fans? Stay tuned after these messages from Playmates.
There's huge news in the sewer. The mini mutants. It's Toko with a sneaky surprise. A mini Technodrome with mini mutants all its own. In the Turtle Tenderizer Chamber, Mini Shredder has painful plans for Raph. Up top, a mini Bebop's keeping an eye out. There's looking at ya. But Leo's got it totally covered. It's Leo's Turtle playset with some big mini surprises of its own. Like a cool sewer scope and mini Leo and Mike. Whoa, there's even a place for you, Shredder. Teenage Mutant Mini Mutants. The sewer just got smaller, dude.
And we're back from the commercial break as Irma is still being zapped. 8 minutes and 10 seconds in, the animation error. Leo's voice comes out of Michelangelo, and then they try to stop the beam but fail. And it seems that the absolute worst consequence of all of this is that it has melted Irma's ice cream. Shredder retreats in the drill.
Yep.
End of scene.
Everything's fine here. Irma got shot by a laser, and everyone got bounced back from it because. I don't know. What were they even trying to do?
Well, they were trying to make Shredder a giant, but because April was hanging off the laser, it screwed up the trajectory, so Irma got shot instead.
Yeah, no, I get that. What I mean is, like, when Irma got shot, the laser was on her for, like, quite a bit of time, and all four turtles run at her and then get bounced off.
I guess they were going to try to block the shot, I guess? I don't know.
So it's like, yeah, where they try to, like, push her out of it, or it's like, if you get electrocuted, you're not supposed to grab onto the person. You're supposed to, like, tackle them off.
She's not being electrocuted, though. She barely seems fazed by the entire thing.
Right. Yeah, she's just standing there.
She's
fine. This is fine.
Over at Channel 6, we finally have some closure. April goes into her office, which is clearly marked as reporter, okay?
Yep. And she has an office again.
She has an office again. She's not out in the bullpen. I feel like her career trajectory is just all over the map these days. But next door, written on the door, is the word director, and Vernon pops out of that one, finally clarifying his role. He's not a cameraman. He's not a producer.
He's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit who is even more called to question now why he was involved in the meeting with Kellerman in the last episode, but whatever. In the next scene, we got a series of slapstick gags as Irma goes with Vernon to find some files buried in storage. And then this all just solidifies that Irma is the absolute sad sack of the series. So we got this. She's horny. She's hungry. She's got big feet. And she's klutzy. Like, geez, give her a break.
She doesn't normally have big feet. That's the ray starting to take effect.
That we know of, but Vernon just immediately dismisses it like you've always had big feet. Your big, clumsy feet.
Yeah, Vernon is, it's kind of amusing for him to be as abusive as he is, but he is verbally abusive. Like, dude, you got nothing to talk about. You are basically useless, and yet you still have the nerve to verbally abuse somebody else in your office, and she's trying to help you.
I mean, the dude's nose is half the size of his face. What has he got to complain about? Anyways, Irma has started to grow because of the after effects of the ray that they just all collectively dismissed, didn't bring her to a doctor, nothing. They just like, let's go back to work. She's got Donkey Kong arms and clown shoes, kind of looks like a character model from Shredder's Revenge. And while all this is going on, Donnie's back at the sewer lab discovering exoboron residue and following their bout with the Shredder, so he's very wise to what's going to happen to Irma and her plight right now.
Man, Irma's giraffe neck is super weird, and I really don't like it.
Yeah, that bothered me too. Every piece of her proportion is getting stretched out. April actually hears all the crashing and banging while she's like growing out of the room, and then like comes in and finds a very disturbingly lanky person-shaped hole in the wall. It looks like something from the back room, Stan.
Oh yeah, no, it's awful. It's horrifying. That is an amazingly accurate description you just provided.
For anybody who doesn't know what the backrooms are, don't.
Good.
April and Ninja Turtles thinking that Irma was kidnapped by a monster, but Donnie knows otherwise. Luckily, they're already en route in the van, finally. Seriously, okay. After all this, the van, a blimp, mechanical skateboards, flying cars. The Ninja Turtles have a garage that could rival Batman or Jay Leno.
Yep.
Remember when I said that there was going to be math earlier?
Yes.
All right, so here's where we're gonna try this out a little bit. So we see Irma is now towering as high as a 4-story building.
All I want to do is see you turn into a giant woman, a giant woman.
We're just gonna keep you singing this entire episode.
Yeah, it's great. Come on. If you haven't watched Steven Universe, you have to check it out. I sang that very out of key, so please don't hold it against me. But we got a giant woman. It was the first thing that shot into my head as a fan of animation.
All right, she's a giant woman who's 4 stories tall, which is approximately 30 feet by national average. Krang said the ray would make someone 6 times larger. So the math adds up here, assuming that Irma is a fairly average 5 foot tall, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like is 5 feet average?
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty average height.
All right.
Gender aside, really. I mean, it's on the low side, but it's still within the means of average.
Oh, yeah.
But Donnie also recognizes this verbatim, and he says that Irma is 30 feet tall. So why is the title the 50-foot tall Irma? Is that just to play on the horror movie title?
Yes, but also she gets taller as the episode goes on.
But she overshoots 50 by, like, a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
It's technically not false advertising because she hits 50 feet at some point.
At some point. But it's not even long enough to recognize because she shoots from, like, 30 feet to 100 feet.
When did this episode come out? What year was it?
89.
Why did... She, like, turns down and walks down a street like a dinosaur. Like, she hunches over and brings her arms up like a T-Rex.
Are you trying to draw lines to Jurassic Park here? What do you...
I mean, like, that's what I thought, but it was definitely before that. Check out 1139. I guess maybe this is her trying to sneak around because she keeps stepping on things. Yeah, it's, like, right after she steps on, like, the hot dog cart or something.
What the fuck was that? I didn't see that the first time. Yeah, she totally goes like raptor hands.
It's like the alien in Signs.
Oh my god. Oh, do not draw that line. Nope. Nope.
Am I wrong?
Yep. For my own spite, you're wrong. Yeah, dude, the way she draws her hands up, it's so T-Rex. You're right. I did not see that.
Someone Photoshop her in the with the Jurassic Park banner.
No, Splinter did that a few episodes ago when they caught him in the profile. All right, so Irma's stomping around, crushing cars, breaking facades. Krang sends his dream team back up topside to steal the other half of the meteorite for more exoboron. And luckily, the kaiju spinster has already scared everyone off. So it's very easy for the animation budget to allow Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady to break into the museum again. Unfortunately, by the time they blow up the wall, there's no more exoboron. It must be somewhere else.
You think?
Back at Channel 6, they're running a report about the giant woman, and like, dude, you don't even recognize the person you work with? She's at the front desk every day.
Yeah, right? That was weird to me. And this just goes to show that, like, have more than one TV station.
This all happens just in time for Irma to peep in through the windows into the broadcast studio, which also shouldn't happen. I'm pretty sure they should have had some kind of blackouts on those. And if you look around in the neighborhood, the buildings are roughly 10 stories tall next to her at this point, and she's pretty much on par with them, like edge to forehead. So is she still growing, or is this just inconsistent animation? Because if it's the former, then she is way past 50 feet at this point already.
Yeah, she's way past 50 feet. She keeps growing. Because they mention it like throughout the episode that she's getting larger and winds up filling up like a whole airport like garage at the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode.
I mean, they only really verbally recognize it again once at the end.
Yeah.
We're picking apart something that doesn't deserve to be picked apart. The turtles,
this next part is my favorite part of the episode.
When the turtles roll up to help.
Yeah.
How they startle her and she whips her ponytail around and knocks over a transmitter tower, sending live wires down into the path of the turtles, who can't stop the van for some reason.
Yep, the brakes are dead.
We only find that out after the commercial break.
It's just like, there's one thing that I love about this. This is like classic Prometheus school of running away from things, except they're driving towards something they shouldn't be driving towards. Like, they're all like, Leo, get out of the way. And he's like, I can't. Like, just turn. You don't have to stop. Just go somewhere else. You're in a car. 1. 2, Donnie saves them by using a grappling hook to, like, drift the turtle van out of the way of the live wires, and he's like, I sometimes wonder what you guys would do without me. It's like, well, maybe they'd have a better mechanic who checks the fucking brakes.
Thank you. I mean, it is cool that he was able to take the van and go all full Batman Returns on it. But yeah, if you had installed those brakes properly the first time, Donatello, we wouldn't be in this scenario, so maybe check your ego. Anyways, once they're safe, Raph throws his sai down to pin those live wires into the ground, and at the next shot, at 13 minutes and 45 seconds, he's got the sais back in his belt.
Yep.
And then Donnie launches 3 grappling lines out of the van, which attach to the top of the Channel 6 building, so that Michelangelo, Raphael, and Leonardo could climb to the top, looking entirely too happy about having to climb what is at least 10 stories. Has to be more, though, because if they're technically in Times Square, what the Channel 6 building is presumed to be, that's probably upwards of 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Maybe even more, 40 could be, with some of the surrounding, but depends on what building we're referencing. It also takes them no time at all. They're up there in about 8 seconds.
They look ecstatic about it.
Ta-da, says Raph. Once they're up top, it's time for Mikey to save the day again, and I just have to say, step the fuck up, Leo, who has contributed nothing to this experience besides being a terrible driver. And honest to God, son of a bitch, I got so angry because I thought this was going to be a magic nunchuck moment, and I had a jingle all ready to go, and he fucking throws a lead pipe. Which still breaks physics and wraps around the electricity kill switch and succeeds, but I don't have a jingle that fucking says magical nunchuck, or magical lead pipe.
I'm just imagining having that jingle.
The lead pipe one or the nunchuck one?
The lead pipe one.
Maybe I'll work on that in my downtime.
Don't.
So the turtles are trying to comfort Irma while she's crying about being a big klutz.
And they keep using big...
They strike out with flying colors twice.
Well, you failed miserably.
We get some more great physical comedy coming up. Her tears pour down on Donatello on the street like a rainstorm. She then blows her nose with a bed sheet that she plucked off a clothesline from a nearby building, and it blows out every window on the block, which I thought was kind of metal.
It's a sonic boom.
The Hulk clap.
Yeah.
And then finally someone else reacts to the fact that there's that Midtown is being attacked by a giant colossal threat. And for the third time this week, the army rolls out, and we got to go hide Irma. Where would you hide a giant from the army?
Well, I've already referenced that they do it at an airport, so spoilers.
Well, we know where the plot takes us, but you're in Leonardo's shoes now. How do you fix this situation?
The Hudson Yards.
Hudson Yards is good. I said maybe putting her in one of the 9,000 abandoned warehouses that we've already established exist around New York City.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, but then they're likely to run into Shredder because he owns all the shitty real estate.
Fair enough. But yeah, as you mentioned before, the Ninja Turtles have taken her upstate somehow, and she's napping in an airplane hangar.
I mean, I guess it could be JFK.
At that distance, we see how far she is from the city in a wide shot.
Yeah, but the TMNT crew think Buffalo is like an hour away.
Yeah, New York is all just kind of in orbit around Manhattan as a state. I do like how her breathing has been weaponized, though. Like, they have to duck and cover when she sneezes or snores because so much destruction falls in his wake. Like, she almost shakes the entire airplane hangar down. And then Michelangelo says, it's a 6.5 on the Ricotta scale.
Nice.
All right, so while the Shredder didn't know where to find the second half of the Exoboron, April has found out from Professor that the other meteorite half is in the museum vault. And it's a good thing, too. As fate would have it, Donatello needs this, too, to shrink Irma back.
I mean, they did set that up earlier in the episode.
How?
Because Vernon was like, I can't believe we lost the interview got interrupted. He was, upset about what happened with the first one, and April had already set up another meeting with that scientist to follow up because he had the other half.
Oh, well, I thought that was just good journalism.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's also the show establishing that April would know where it is because she had already set up a meeting with the scientist.
All right, good. Consistent writing. But at the same time, the entire staff who's ever written for the Ninja Turtle cartoon could honestly publish a textbook on how to MacGuffin.
Oh, for sure. It's every episode.
The easiest solution to every episode is just for Shredder to follow the Ninja Turtles to the solution.
That is true.
The Turtles arrive first. They stop Professor Von Zifflin claiming to be with the army, and that they, even though they look more like motorcycle cops to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty classic disguise spot for the Turtles, and I mean, it works. Their shield, the face shields totally hide their faces. They are convincing to the good doctor, and they're able to get inside.
Yes, and Operation Irma is underway. I also like that Raph hustles the professor to hurry up, because he's like, Raph's only purpose in existence is to ever say something when it explicitly makes him sound like a dick.
He's cool but rude.
But outside, Bebop and Rocksteady are using a battering ram.
Run through, reach it. Bring up the wolf's head.
To bust down the museum door, and in another terrifying display of strength, Shredder solo kicks the door open himself.
Points taken away for not having the fist battering ram.
Wasn't a battering ram.
I know, it's just a lamppost that they grabbed for the ground, apparently.
No, the fist was not a battering ram.
What was it then?
We've covered this. In explicit detail, it was a giant dildo.
Oh, I forgot the part in the child show where they called it a dildo.
You tell me I'm wrong. You look at the shape of that thing, you tell me I'm wrong.
I'm just saying, it's literally a battering ram.
I mean, anything's a battering ram if you use it right. Case in point.
Yeah, like a light post.
Inside, Bebop bowls Uranus at the Turtles.
Nice.
Mikey traps Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady in Saturn's ring, and they bowl out the door.
Don't you think it's funny how, Mikey solves, most fights?
By just being the quickest reaction?
Yeah.
I think that's a character beat that's been picked up in future iterations, though, because we keep seeing Michelangelo kind of getting pedestaled as one of the like I mentioned earlier, kind of an idiot savant where he's a better fighter than he lets on.
Technically, that was in an earlier episode for those listening. You did say that earlier today, but we talked about that in a different episode.
Oh, shoot. You're right. I'm already blending. Well, I've mentioned it time and time again on this podcast, like in other iterations of Michelangelo, he kind of comes off as an idiot savant. He wins important fights, like major tentpole, like battle nexus arena kind of fights.
I just think it's funny that, like, in this show specifically, because for those unaware, later on, Mikey loses his nunchucks due to a censorship issue in England. But like early on in the series, he seems to solve like every problem. Not always with a nunchuck, but like he's just really good at lassoing things.
Most of the time with a nunchuck, though.
Yeah. I just got one thing from the previous scene to bring up to you if we want to cut this in or not.
Yeah, cut it in.
So the Turtles get the scientist to run away because they don't want him to be there for the fight with Shredder and Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yep.
And they like, you know, like say, oh, like a battle's about to break out. And he's like, I'm a scientist, not a jungle fighter.
Yeah, that was weird.
Weird, right?
Where'd that come from?
It's just like, it's not like, I don't think it's funny or anything. It's just like a weird thing to say. Like, what do you like? Just like an odd Vietnam reference in Ninja Turtles. Like, what?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird ad lib, I think. But anyways, April's calling up. Irma has awakened and is heading for the city with a major case of the munchies. She's full zombie mode, still growing taller, apparently. Turtles chase her down in the van, and Donnie's in the back mixing up an exoboron pill and using the most unnecessary funnel in the history of chemistry. Donatello, if you are pouring a pre-measured graduated cylinder into a basin with a radius equivalent to like a dinner plate, you don't need a funnel, friend.
You know what he needs? A mechanical vacuum egg.
I love how there are never rules to these things. With the science in Turtles, with science and everything, action heroes in the 1980s. So firing a laser powered by something is just as effective as ingestion, right?
Yeah.
Cool. It's just like Secret of the Ooze, you know.
That's true.
Ask your doctor about topical and the new suppository version of the mutagen, now available. Army's closing in too, so time's running out. Donatello's trying to give Irma this big horse pill of a plot device, but she can't eat pills because she's in Arrested Development, not the show, literally. She wants the pill to happen in a spoonful of ice cream, just like her mother used to give her. Let me just say, this was a revelation for me as a kid and how I wanted to take my medicine. Didn't work, but it didn't stop me from asking.
I like how the Turtles are like, but you're not a kid, Irma. Like we're teens, but like even we get that, like, you got to take your medicine.
Oh, I like when Leo patronizes her. He's just like, but you're a big girl now, Irma. Anyways, the Army's still firing missiles. Vernon's rolling up, getting shots, and gloating about beating April to the story this time.
He looks really happy to watch his coworker get shot by the military.
Yeah, but even beyond that, just in the phrasing, like, April's on your team. She literally works for you.
Yep.
And you're just thriving in the act of, like, one, ruining her career, two, not caring about the life of your other coworker, employee, whatever you want to call Irma. What the hell, Vernon?
Yeah, he's a real piece of work.
He's next level scumbag in this one. He's gone from kind of like a weenie to like, oh, fuck you.
Yup.
By the way, have we established that they're showing down in a construction yard?
Oh, I don't know. We have, but we should because of how they actually administer the antidote.
Yeah. So they're in a construction yard, as any good fight would be, because they'd be so worried about injuring all of the people walking around Manhattan. So Mikey gets an idea here. He darts off, comes back with an ice cream vendor bicycle. It's a bike with a freezer on the front. You've seen them in cities. You can get a good snow cone out of those. He dumps the contents of that and the pill into a cement mixer, and then Irma's got to scarf it down. We get a little TMI when Irma says that she's always dreamed of doing this, and by this I mean drinking a milkshake made by turtles out of a construction vehicle while missiles are flying all around and her boss is trying to dox her.
Right, like, you've always dreamed of eating ice cream out of a cement truck? That's super weird.
That gives a little more behind the curtain than I'm comfortable knowing. But it does work. She shrinks, Vernon's a chump, the Army's useless, everything's back to normal.
Yeah, everything's great. Just Irma shrinking down was totally good enough for the military because they don't do anything.
No, they just presumably stop.
Oh man, they like throw their arms and
Military tantrum.
just all shuffle off back to the to the base.
In the epilogue, we finally get to Irma's birthday party where Donatello's doing the latest dance craze, the turtle trot. And LOL at Splinter.
This is one move I did not teach them.
Don't take ownership of that, Splinter. You're in the right here.
Mikey brings in 31 flavors of ice cream pizza, serves up some chocolate fudge with extra garlic for Irma, and April fat shames her again.
Yep.
What the hell? April's a piece of shit in this episode.
Yeah, you can't escape it. It's just not good. I feel bad for Irma. I mean, we've had our fun at her expense, admittedly, but her friends are real shitty in this episode.
Yeah, they really are. But she does get the last laugh when she says, "I'm done with diets. I just lost 10,000 pounds." And I just have to say, good for you, Irma.
This is a very solid joke and a mature way of deflecting emotional abuse.
Yeah, poor Irma's going to be in therapy for decades. How do you feel about this one? I'm going to give it a Chevy Nova.
Okay. I enjoyed it. It's silly. It's definitely not a cowabunga. I was leaning in between the Chevy Nova and Excellent.
I would hear an argument in favor of Excellent because, like, all right, this is another one from my VHS collection growing up. I've rewatched it several times. I have a lot of memories of this specific episode. There's consistent writing. We pointed out that they created a lot of good through lines. It's paced fairly well, but it's kind of marred by some weird direction and continuity errors. But it's a fine episode, just not much else.
It is pretty solid writing. You know what? I'll follow your lead on this one because I think, like, watching it now as an adult, it is kind of hard to ignore the just ruthless emotional abuse that Irma goes throughout this episode. And I feel like giving it a higher rating despite that might be a bad idea.
It's socially unacceptable in how they behave with each other in this one. We also don't really get a conclusion about the villains. They just kind of give up and never speak again at the end. So there's a few weak points in it.
Yeah. I mean, Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady are in that hoop, and they're pretty much just, halfway to Buffalo now.
Yeah, all 5 minutes. What is our lesson to be learned here in 2023?
Be better to your friends.
Yeah, I said don't fat shame.
Stop being shitty people.
Yeah, solid, not the best, but it's definitely a precursor to what we're still getting ourselves into. This is really where things kind of go off the rails, guys. We're ankle deep in season 3, and this is where the syndication rush happens. So as we've mentioned a few times, there is another 44 episodes to go in the season alone.
We're only on episode 3.
Oh, what have we done, Dan?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think the rating that we're giving it is totally fair. But I think the episode it's fine. It's fine. It's not bad.
It's fine.
There's some bad stuff in it for sure, but I think if you remove that from the episode, there are some really solid things that I hope they continue. Like, I think it's consistent. The pacing is nice. They don't spend a whole bunch of time trying to set up the overarching style of the episode. Like, at this point in time, Krang and Shredder are going to rob something for some kind of science experiment. The Turtles are gonna they're gonna meet in the middle. It's not going to work out for the Turtles the first time, and then it comes through in the end. So, now that has been established, I like that they're not, wasting time by going through the motions all the time, and they're just yep, this is the thing, the thing's going to happen. Let's just get the MacGuffin out and done with so that we can get to the action of the episode.
Well said. And in that, I can appreciate it because, yeah, we don't need a whole lot of, exposition in this one. It's strictly a creature feature.
And man, if you were tired of MacGuffins, I've got bad news for you because the next episode is titled "The Maltese Hamster."
It's right in the header. So while we close things out, let's give you your weekly pizza affirmation. And this one comes from the queen herself. Dolly Parton once said, "My weaknesses have always been food and men, in that order." And let's all learn a thing or two about priorities from Dolly Parton here. Coming up next week.
Oh, but all I got in my turtle bank is $12.40.
Tough nuggies, frog face. Now scram before your puss breaks some valuable antique mirrors.
Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and tell your chat GPT bots. We'll see you next week, everybody. Cowabunga.
Cowabunga! Duderonomy is produced by Brian Van Gelder and me, Dan Spitaleri. Brian edits and mixes the show and also designed our show art. Our theme music is composed by Mario Sello Nuñez. You can hear more of his music on Spotify, which we've linked to in the show notes. Find us on Twitter at Duderonomy_TMNT and send email to deuteronomy.tmnt@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Cowabunga!
I can't stand